Now that we've all calmed down and we can think a bit with a clearer head, maybe a bit fuzzy due to a hangover, but anyway, it is a bit clearer than it was yesterday when we think about the game. Let's talk about the manager, because he is obviously the big talking point just now. And let's go back to a couple of weeks ago when the manager first came in to the club. The manager said, we need to improve for sure. I spoke to the club when I came in and assessing the squad. We need to improve the quality. Have we improved the quality of the squad so far? It's clear, Brendan Rodgers says, when you look at the team. If you go back to my first time here, the team was fast and dynamic. We got through the lines, we created and scored goals, something that we're not doing. Even though he did say yesterday in his interview that he wants the team to play fast-flowing football. So, that's exactly what the previous manager wanted, to play fast-flowing football. So where's it going wrong? Are the players not understanding what the manager is telling them to do? Or is the manager not getting his point across correctly? The manager also said, he says, so look, we'll eventually get to that, but we're missing one or two certain profiles in players. Hopefully we can bring them into the squad and be a lot clearer, cleaner, and quicker in our play. That's what the manager wants. The pressure right now is on the board, the PLC, because let's face it, we have spent money this summer. We've spent around about 15 million, but it's not on quality. It's not on what we wanted. It's not what we needed. If you remember back to last season, we all thought we only needed about 3 or 4 players added as a quality to make us a bit better in the Champions League. I'm going to talk about the Champions League in a minute. And the next video this afternoon, I'm going to be talking about the stats from yesterday, because I'm going to delve into the stats in the next video. So make sure you look out for that one. The pressure really is on Mark Lawwell and the board now to pull their finger out and get transfer negotiations done. If the manager wants players that are faster and first team ready, they have to be brought in this week. It's far from ideal having this much work left to do at this end of the window, but nevertheless, it is. There is a player coming in the next couple of days, but we need to add to that. We really need to add to it. Let's listen to Brendan first of all, and let's listen to what he had to say about transfer. Now, this was yesterday, so right after the match, he was asked about bringing players in. We've already brought players in this season, this summer, and they're not first team ready, which is disappointing.
And how confident are you that going into that one, you will be able to bolster your squad ahead of the match?
Well, hopefully that's the plan. I think we can see the.
Hopefully that's the plan. What happened to, bringing in? I understand that we can bring in players to sell on, but right now we haven't brought players in to replace Jota, even to replace Aaron Moy that retired. And although we brought in a player that was meant to replace Starfelt, he's injured. I mean, we have to look at the injuries and we have to look at the way that we're playing. Let's be honest, because everyone is now talking about the way that Brendan's got the team playing. Are the team not doing what the manager and the coaching staff are asking? Are they finding it hard to transition on the pitch? Dyson Maida spoke about that, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but let's finish listening to Brendan.
The quality that we need in the squad, so hopefully we can do that.
Hopefully we can do that. We need the quality in the squad. We knew that we needed the quality in the squad before the transfer window opened. It seems like this is the longest transfer window in record. People started talking about the Celtic transfers that were needed before the manager left at the cup final on the 3rd of June. 3rd of June, that seems so long ago now. But let's face it, we're still, when you look at some of the blogs out there, right? I'm going to look at, and I looked at one that said Celtic are in ongoing talks, an exciting 12 million star, which I think this one's dead in order. And it's a givemesport.com. And this is how ridiculous some of the stories are that are going out. And this is published 13 hours ago. You can see here, I'll just highlight it. It's published 13 hours ago by Daniel Hepburn. So if anyone knows Daniel Hepburn, tell him that he needs to get his stories right. So he does go on and he's talking about Celtic are still in dialogue for the Wolves player, Daniel Podence, right? And they said we're not going to pay this 12 million. Talking about Jota, fair enough. He goes on about Jota and the fact that he's, we've spent 15 million. Jota scored 54 goals in his 83 appearances. We've brought in Yang, who was a good player yesterday. He's a bit rough around the edges, but he's got there. He could get there. Marco we haven't seen at all. And they're hoping that Podence could come in and do the same. I don't think we're going to go for Podence now. The fact that we're bringing in a player probably tomorrow or Tuesday that was cheaper than him. Let's face it, he was cheaper than him, so that's why we went for him. Anyway, let's move on. It says Celtic CEO and Michael Nicholson will have a huge role to play to get the Wolves outcast. And then when you go down, he's obviously done his work. It's Gustav 3 million, Odin 2.5 million, Marco 2 million. It gets better, Yang 2 million, Kwon 1 million. We've never seen him. I don't think we ever will. Rocky 4.3 million, and Iwata, we signed him on a permanent deal. So we're still after this, but then it gets down to the bottom. What next for Celtic? This is where it gets ridiculous, and we know that this deal isn't going to happen because he's now signed for another club. So Celtic are eyeing a deal for Newcastle United winger Ryan Fraser. Come on, mate. 13 hours ago you put this story up live, and he's already moved on from Newcastle. Completely lazy journalism at its best. Anyway, let's move on to Dyson Maeda. Right, let's get away from this guy and look at Dyson Maeda. He was obviously talking to the media after the game yesterday, and he was talking about the Champions League draw, which I think we're all dreading now because, let's face it, last year was nothing to be proud of in the Champions League. After the last year's draw, I was very excited, said Dyson. He says, I was excited with the opponents that we got. He said, however, we didn't win any games. Sherlock. Anyway, let's move on. He says, we ended up very disappointed. So this year again, I'm looking forward to the draw when it comes. It says we have to play very well and get wins. We're all hopeful of that, but the way we're playing just now, we're never going to get wins. There's no team in particular I would like to draw, but I do think about playing Real Madrid again. Please no. Please no. Not for revenge, but to show any team that comes in the Champions League is strong. We can get wins, Dyson said. It shows that we are a different team, and we want to demonstrate that. But Dyson has also said that he's finding it hard to adjust. He said, you got to remember when he first came in, he actually said that he didn't really watch football, but he has started watching Spurs. Cheers, Dyson. He says he watched Spurs in the Man United game, and he found it interesting the way that Spurs are playing. He says it's a typical Ange Postecoglou team. He says it's been difficult to adjust. Dyson's found after playing with the previous manager for 4 years, says at 2 different clubs, he says it's hard. The transition to the Brendan Rodgers has made alterations to a previously embedded system into him, trying to get him to play different. I'm trying to get the players to play different. Why is Brendan making so many changes to the system that we're playing? Why did he feel the need to make such massive changes? He did say that he wants the team playing fast, flowing, attacking football. It's pretty much what the previous manager did. So why aren't the players picking that up? Maeda obviously came to Glasgow in 2022, January 2022. He says, we are trying to do things. So individually and as a team, we have to adapt to this new style of play. It quite often happens in football. It says, new managers come in and you change. You make adjustments for it. Personally, I feel that the tactics of the previous manager have instilled in my game. So obviously I have to change to the new style. However, the league has already started. You have to get results. You have to apply the new style. And that is what we're trying to do, said Dyson Maeda. He says, even if my form is off, he says you have to get on with it. You have to get on with it. And he said it's something that we're not doing. We're not performing. Why aren't they performing? Why aren't the players performing? Tell me that in the comments, and make sure that you check out this afternoon's video where we'll be looking at the stats from yesterday's game. And yeah, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party.